Let's go ahead and move on to the worst list, the 10 worst signings. And again, all opinionated based off of a handful of things, contract, positional fit, how I only have one trade on here. So, kind of the return for the trade. The trade is ranked pretty highly. But going and starting off with the number 10, I have 10 and 9. I can probably interchange with a handful of different signings that a lot of people considered pretty poor. This one I have just more of a question mark about. The Bills signing Bradley Chubb, 3-year, $43.5 million for a guy who is $29 million guaranteed over 3 years. Steep figure for soon-to-be 30-year-old pass rusher. 8.5 sacks last year. He's not exactly premier. I don't understand paying him that type of money. And it's not like it's an egregious amount of money. I just don't think Bradley Chubb is as good as a player as $29 million guaranteed off of a $43.5 million contract. I don't think he's that good, but you do have another pretty good pass rusher on the other side, so it could amplify things for either one of those guys, but it does rank at 10 for me.
I think that they had a need and they had a desire to fill that need, and they paid to fill that need. So it's kind of one of those things where
Quickly, too. Very quickly.
Yeah. So it's like when you have a need and you fill the need, I'm not a Bradley Chubb guy, to be honest with you. So
Yep. I think that's where a lot of my discomfort with the deal comes and falls in line. Like, if you look at the numbers and you look at everything, it's like, oh, the deal's okay. But then I bring it up with it's Bradley Chubb. I'm like, I don't know. But again, I put him at 10. So it's not like it's the worst signing of the offseason or the worst move of the offseason. I just think it does belong in the top 10, though.
30 million guaranteed for a guy that had 8 sacks last year and is turning 30. To be honest with you, I love the signing because this was the contract and player I was nervous the 49ers were going to act on, and the Bills saved me from that. So I put it on my favorite list, actually.
We talked about this next team going after defensive guys and acquiring defensive talent because this defense has been so bad the past couple of years. But I do think the Bengals signing Jonathan Allen to a 2-year, $26 million deal is not good. 31 years old, coming off 2 straight years of declined performance, resulting a release from the Commanders and the Vikings the past 2 years. It's kind of surprising. He's guaranteed $8 million when the Vikings cut him, and then he goes and signs a 2-year, $26 million deal on top of it. He's just kind of raking in money at this point. I don't like it for the Bengals at all. If I'm Jonathan Allen, I love it. But if I'm the Bengals, I hate this deal because, again, 31 years old, 2 straight years of declined performance. This was Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne for a couple of years in Washington. And Jonathan Allen was the one who ended up getting outed, and Daron Payne stays. So it's just not a good signing, in my opinion. Honestly, this could have been higher.
I could see it definitely being higher. This dude has had 2 straight years of declining production. 2 different teams said no thanks. I guess it worked out for the Vikings because they're going to have less of a cap hit because he got paid more money. You know what I mean? You see, like Kyler Murray signing with the Vikings for $1 million was kind of like a finger to the Cardinals because you know he could have got more, but why help the Cardinals out? So, yeah, this one is just a little, it's like head scratching to me. That's kind of where I lived with it. And I mean, I have a couple more. We'll see if you list them. And then if you don't, I can bring them up. So hopefully you actually don't list them because your team's on it. So yeah, I don't really know what the point was, especially again, to the point of the move your team made. A lot of defensive edge rushers available in this free agent class. And so to make this move here was a little interesting.
We'll get to it.
Oh, will we? Okay.
No, we will 100% get to it. Absolutely. Moving to the number 8 spot, though, I do have, and a lot of this comes with the player and the contract. Romeo Doubs signing a 4-year, around $70 million deal to the Patriots. I am not a fan of. Do you know who Romeo Doubs is? We're talking about a wide receiver 2 to 3 getting 4 years, $70 million. And the thing is, when I made this list, I made the list, and then I wanted to see what other people thought as well. And people liked this deal for some reason. And they're like, oh, it's comparable to Wan'Dale Robinson, which you brought up earlier. And I'm like, Wan'Dale Robinson is a similar type of player, or was a similar type of player in terms of the production until he had a 1,000-yard year with over 100 catches. Romeo Doubs does not have the same type of production. Those guys getting the same deal does not, or a similar type of deal, does not make sense to me. Dobbs does not deserve that contract, even a little bit. I think they way overpaid for him. This isn't AJ Brown. Like a lot of Patriots fans were hoping for some type of premium number one. Obviously, releasing Stephon Diggs, he's still out there. They're not going to obviously bring him back, but Tyreek Hill is still out there. Obviously, aging, older. I get it. Dobbs is younger. He could have a good year. He could be talented. He could have close to 1,000 yards. He could have 1,000 yards, and it would probably justify the contract. But right now, as it stands, that he slots in at my number 8 spot.
It's anywhere else on this list?
Don't think so. No, this is the only Patriots. I think everyone's a one-time recipient on this list.
Yeah, I mean, everything the Patriots did this offseason was questionable to me. I predicted that Stephon Diggs was going to be a bunch of drama for them last year, and it was going to cause our boy to throw a ton of picks. And obviously that didn't happen. Drake May was second in MVP voting, but the Romeo Doubs signing, the Kevin Byard signing, and you know how I feel about interior offensive linemen with big contracts.
Yeah.
4 year, $70 million for a dude that missed the entire year last year with a torn triceps and has had a ton of injuries his entire career. I don't really know what the Patriots were doing this offseason. I think it was a bit of a mess. So he decided not to go through and actually give grades to teams, would just kind of tack it this way, but they were going to be pretty low on my list of free agency moves because I don't like anything they did this year.
I definitely agree. I mean, you talked about head scratching. You have incredibly young quarterback, second MVP voting. You should want to spend money and get weapons around him, more weapons around him. But again, I don't get it. I really don't. And there's no other way to really put it. I'm just kind of repeating myself at this point. It's head scratching to me because we've seen all the wide receiver 2 and 3s kind of come through Green Bay at this point. I don't think he's any different. I think Dobbs is about the same.
And I misspoke on Elijah Vera Tucker's deal. It was 3 years for $42 million, not 4 for 70. But Romeo Doubs, his yards per route run is really high. It's over 1.5 yards per route run, which is the production is there. And I guess anytime you get to step out of Christian Watson's shadow and shine out and make a name for yourself, you got to do it. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Yeah, I hated everything the Patriots did this offseason, which sucks because I love Drake May.
Yep, both of us. Moving on to the number 7 spot, we can go ahead and have the discussion about the Trey Hendrickson signing with the Baltimore Ravens, 4 years, $112 million. I put this on the list for a couple of reasons. One's obviously how everything kind of transpired, put a little bit of bad taste in my mouth. And I know there's some people defending the actions of the Ravens of nixing the deal. They got cold feet. They didn't want to trade the picks anymore. I'm not sure if you heard the complete story from Max Crosby about him flying out, not seeing anyone for a while. It was kind of weird. Everyone's being really cold and strange right from the jump. Finally seeing a doctor. Oh, we're gonna get a second opinion. They supposedly called the Cowboys head medical doctor and supposedly got a second opinion from him. And then they called him and said, we're not going to back out of the deal. You're a Raven. Don't worry about it. And about 10, 15 minutes later, his agent ends up calling him and saying, they're backing out of the deal. We're going to get you on the next flight home. And he's a Raider again. Kind of confusing there. And then they go out and side Trey Hendrickson. 17.5 sacks, back-to-back years, a couple of years ago, is who Trey Hendrickson is. My issue is he holds out, gets injured with a litany of injuries. He was listed with a hip injury, then it was a back injury, and then it was a core injury. And then he was asked about all the differences with the injuries and what it really was. And he said, it is kind of all of it. So we're talking about multiple mid-body core injuries all in one offseason. A lot of it has to do with the sitting out and the holding out that he did over the season. We see it over and over and over again in the offseason of guys holding out.
Every year.
Every single year. And he does it. Puts a bad taste in my mouth. That I do think players should get their money. Absolutely. But you're putting yourself in jeopardy and your entire career at jeopardy when you do stuff like that. Then he signs with the Ravens. Trey Hendrickson and Max Crosby, in my opinion, two different levels of players. I am so concerned about Trey not working out with the Ravens in terms of production. Talking about a guy who's been in the league since 2017 as well. We're not talking about a young buck here. I'm talking about a guy who's 27, 28 years old. He's had good production years. He's been solid. I'm concerned about the health. I'm concerned about him keeping up. Those are my concerns. That's why he's at 7. And obviously, the entire Max Crosby situation lumps it all in there together. So probably unfair to lump it. It's just the Trey Hendrickson thing. I think it's probably just a Ravens thing.
I mean, if I look at it with the value of Max Crosby for 2 first-round picks or Trey Hendrickson for none, I love the value. I hate 4 years. I don't have the contract details in front of me. Like, it could just be, like, front-loaded. It could be, like, a 2-year 80 with those 2 extra years on there. But coming with the age he is and these big-time players sometimes when they get traded teams, it's not the same. You know what I mean? Like, you settle into a scheme, you go somewhere different coaches, especially at the age he is. We'll see. We could both be wrong. I mean, the Ravens' best pass rusher grade last year was like 59. So their pass rush was just absolute god awful. So it just might be addition by addition at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, 4 years for him that's a lot of money for Trey Hendrickson at his age. And it just, we'll see. But like I said, I think the Raiders getting Max back, in addition to everything else they did out there, is going to be a blessing in disguise for them.
He has no guaranteed money after 2028, 2029, 2030. So no guaranteed money. If he does get cut, it's a $12 million saving. So there is that part of it. But again, it's all of it lumped into one.
For sure. And the injuries, who knows how much any of that was real. Like,
Right.
He did hold out, and then he wants to be traded. He wants money. It is what it is. I'm really, really sick, and I'm pro player, but I'm really, really sick of these dudes getting paid, and then they come back and they tear a hamstring or something, or they have a terrible season. It's like, if you can't be ready to go, then you need to be in camp. And I know holding out is the leverage, and I'm going to take all my photos off Instagram, and I'm going to scrub all my social media accounts for anything revolving the team. Like, that shit is just social media nonsense, and I don't think it gets these contracts done. Like, show up, get to camp. That way, like, maybe I'm poisoned by the Brandon Ayuk thing, but that dude was well on his way to being a beloved 49er. Like, every 49er fan remembers his rookie year when he hurdled an Eagles defender going into and now, like, people hate that dude. Like, they got nothing for him. So, and I know there's probably a lot of mental illness and stuff that's going on with Brandon Ayuk, but these guys got to stop holding out. They got to get to camp. They got to get their bodies ready, and they got to get prepared for a grueling NFL season. This holding out thing and then getting hurt, shit. I'm so sick and tired of it.
Yeah. And we're not blaming, I personally would not blame the players here. I think this is an agent issue more than anything else.
Well, when you pay those agents all that money and they tell you to stay at home, I agree with you. You're probably 100% right. I'm sure, especially, it's like they're still friends with the head coach. They're still friends with the training staff, all the players on the team. They probably want to be there. You are right. I mean, NFL agents these days make so much money. That's probably exactly where it is. So, good point. Good point.
Moving on to the number 6 spot. This is probably a little high, but I liked where I was sent with this one. Broncos signing JK Dobbins for 2 years, $20 million is kind of confusing to me. $10 million a year for JK Dobbins, when's the last time JK Dobbins has had a full season? $10 million. And I get the Broncos are going to be interesting to kind of mock to see where they're at for the next season, because you're bringing in talent that tells me I'm going to throw the ball more. But in my mind, the Broncos probably still want to stick to an identity of running the ball more. That would be what I would think, but they're bringing in talent to throw the ball. So it's a little confusing. Again, $10 million a year for a guy who hasn't been healthy in a very long time.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, like, he was great for the Broncos last year when he was healthy, but
And
it's
he
not like he
flashes
broke
on every team.
and it's not like he broke a collarbone and he's out. Like, he had a foot injury. He had a season-ending foot injury.
Yep.
Obviously, he was already on their team to begin with, so they must feel pretty good about the medical on that. But like, that's not exactly like normal injury stuff. Like, this isn't like, oh, a hamstring or this, that, or the other concussion problems. Like, this is a running back with a foot injury, and you just gave him a ton of money for in comparison to running backs. So I definitely think it has a place on this list.
Yeah, again, just overall confusing with the player and the contract. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Moving to the number 5 spot, I do have the Tennessee Titans signing cornerback Cordell Flott. I didn't really have this on my radar in terms of free agent class corners. 3 years, $45 million. This is in the neighborhood of what Jalen Watson got, who was perceived as one of the better free agent corners for this class. And he got more money than Jamil Dean, who just had a pretty good year. So button mashing for teams who have a lot of money can be really good in some areas and really bad in others. Both the Titans and the Raiders are both on the good and the bad list here. I do think that this deal with Cordell Flott is just confusing. Doesn't make a lot of sense for a guy who makes the type of money that some of these other corners have been consistent. You brought up Jalen Watson playing 500 snaps a year, playing a lot of snaps. He's been consistent. Flott has not been that type of corner.
Yeah, I mean, a lot to be made about a couple of big games for him coverage-wise last year, but the facts are he's not an all-around corner. He's weak in the run. He's not a good tackler, and this is a lot of money for someone that's not an all-around corner.
Yep.
If you sign him to a 2-year 15 or a 322 or something, yeah, decent signing for a team that needs depth, whatever. But 345, that is a hefty contract for this player when you look at some of the other signings that were made around that same money.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when we move into our top 4, I do think that these are piss poor, in my opinion. I don't think there's any way to even describe it, in my opinion. Again, I have one trade and one signing / trade in here. 2 signings are the first 4 and 3 is where we're going first. I already mentioned it before. I told you, spoiler alert. Malik Willis signing with the Dolphins initially is a pretty good signing. Shout out to Dad. He predicted it a while ago. He said that that's where he wanted to go. That's where he thought he was going to go. 3 years, $67.5 million. Initially, again, not bad. I don't think it's a poor contract. I don't think it's a poor decision by the Dolphins organization until you start to release and you start to get rid of guys. Obviously, we talked about it in the group chat of who is this guy going to throw to is the massive question you brought up earlier on the podcast as well. That's what makes him land on the list. You asked me in the beginning of free agency. It doesn't land on the list at all. It might be even closer to the best. Sitting today, it's the 4th worst.
I mean, trading away Minka, trading away Jalen Waddle, it just seems like a team seems like a team that's going basically to the wholesale market to try to maybe, I don't want to say tank, but this does have transition quarterback written all over it. But then again, maybe at pick 11, they grab Carnell Tate out of Ohio, and there you go. And Carnell is 6'2", 190 pounds, instant impact, ready to go. So maybe that's just what the plan is there. Leaving your cupboard of wide receivers pretty bare with the hope to draft the best wide receiver in the class when you're not picking like top 6 or 7 is risky. But I don't expect them to think they're going to compete over the next couple of years. And this is the team that tried to pay their head coach to tank to get Joe Burrow. So I don't think they're afraid of having a couple bad seasons down there to improve their draft odds.
No, and their draft capital is pretty large for this next year. We're looking at pick 11, 30, 43, 75, 87, and 90, 94. So we're looking at a first-round pick, 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and 4 third-round picks, which we can assume they're not going to use all of those. They're going to move them around for either next year or move up or whatever they're going to do. Point is, they got a lot of draft capital to use up, at least in this draft, immediately. So
yeah, and those are high enough to find a starting corner, a starting edge, and a starting wide receiver. So I definitely get it. but I feel bad for Malik.
Yeah. I mean, right now, these are, as of March 22nd, this is the fourth worst signing because there's a huge question mark of what they're doing. Now, we could talk about this after the draft and, oh, yeah, the Dolphins traded for A.J. Brown. It's like, all right, well, now we can take this off the list a little bit. And now we can have a little bit more of a discussion. So, again, as of March 22nd, that's where we're sitting right now on Malik Willis. At the number 3 spot, I mentioned that the Raiders were going to be here. Raiders signing edge Quiddy Pay, 3-year, $48 million a year, $16 million per year. He ranked last. Quiddy Pay ranked last in pass rush win rate among all qualified edge rushers at just 4.5%. He's 12th percentile in pressure rate, performed poorly in both numbers in 2024 as well. So it's back-to-back years. So we're not qualifying this as, oh, well, he did well in the past. We're just kind of bringing him in to see if he could go back to. It's too much money. I don't mind you bringing in Quiddy Pay, but you overpaid for a guy who's not worth it. Again, when you look at some of the advanced numbers, one of the bottom ranked pass rushers in the league right now, and you're getting $16 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Stokes, Quay Walker, Kobe Dean, Max Crosby. If he's 27 years old, he has an opportunity here. So he's surrounded by a lot of talent, a lot of opportunity to flash, and this has like a 1-year wonder written all over it if he doesn't flash this year. So definitely a confusing signing, especially considering they signed him without planning to have Max Crosby on the team. So definitely not exactly sure what they were looking at on this one.
100%. And they also brought back, I'm pretty sure they brought back Malcolm Kuntz on a 1-year deal, 1 year, $10 million, if memory serves correctly as well.
Re-signed him.
Yeah, so it's like the talents there, like you brought up, Eric Stokes, Teron Johnson, Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, all those guys, additions, and obviously bringing back Max Crosby. Looks good. You know, he has an opportunity right now as it stands, though. When you look at 2024 and 2025 numbers, $16 million isn't worth it. He could make the $16 million very easily look like a bargain deal, though. It's a lot of what ifs to play around.
You know, I think honestly, Tom Brady was in that war room with the minority ownership group, and they were just going to town on all these signings. And then Mark walked in, and he wanted to get involved, and now they got Quiddy Pay. So that's probably what happened there.
Good chance. My number 2 is also an edge rusher. He's smiling already. Cowboys trading for Rashan Gary is my second worst offseason acquisition. 49ers were in my top 3 for best, and we're trading away Osa. And now Cowboys are in the top 2 of worst, receiving Rashan Gary. I know my dad might not like this one. They receive a 2027 4th-round pick, which Cowboys have done pretty well in the draft, especially in some of those mid-round picks, 3rd, 4th, 5th-round picks. We've done pretty well at finding some value there. We're trading for a guy who had a lot of potential in 2022, delivering a 23% pass rush win rate and 6 sacks in 9 games before tearing his ACL. That's the guy we're hoping to get, but that's 2022. Once viewed as a really promising young pass rusher, and he's just kind of fallen off since then. His numbers have never really reached that same type of pace since 2022, and we're 4 years removed now. So 4th-round pick for a guy like this, it seems really steep, especially when you look at some of the other deals around the league. Quality player like Minkah Fitzpatrick for a 7th-round pick is definitely like a shot in the gut. The Cowboys don't need a safety, but it's just like that type of quality player for a 7th, and we're trading a 4th for Rashan Gary. It sucks. Like I said, it's a shot in the gut for sure.
Would you feel better if you had the Bradley Chubb deal instead of this trade?
No, I wouldn't want to spend the money on it.
It's kind of right there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Now, it is a 2027 4th-round pick. It's not a 4th-round pick this year. But yeah, Rashan Gary has been the last 4 years, he just gets worse and worse. So I'm not exactly sure. It just doesn't seem like the type of player that would command a 4th-round pick. I'm just surprised. I mean, I don't hate the trade, the idea behind the trade. Obviously, you need to add talent to that defense in any way, but
right.
A 4th, especially considering the track record of the Cowboys and how you guys were going to be aggressive this year and all that shit, and this is what you're left with.
Pretty quiet.
it just seems like it's funny how you're like, we don't need a safety, and that was their other signing. But when you trade Osa away for a third, now again, I know that they're different years. It's fine. But when you trade Osa away for a third, and then you trade for Rashan for a fourth, and if you look at where the Niners finished this year and where you guys finished, that third and that fourth are going to be right there, 20 picks different because the compensation picks come in at the end of the fourth. Just an interesting decision for sure.
Yeah. All right, number one. Do you know what my number one is?
Like I told your dad, anytime you can recreate that Green Bay Packers defense from a couple years ago that had more holes in it than Swiss cheese, you got to do it.
Yeah. You have any idea about what number one is? Do you want to give any shout outs before I move to number one?
I just felt like I knew really, really well what you were going to do with your number one on the good side, and then you hit me with Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Me, if I was my worst signing, would have to do with a team that has a horseshoe on their helmet. I don't know if we're on the same page there, but that's what mine would be.
I believe we do, but is it the right player?
Oh, did you hate the Michael Pittman trade and you're okay with the re-signing? Is that what it is?
No, it's the combination of re-signing Alec Pierce and then trading Michael Pittman Jr.
Yeah, I would have swapped that if it were me.
Yeah, no, atrocious. 4-year, 114. That's my number one. 4-year, $114 million contract, making him one of the highest paid wide receivers in the league. Top 15 highest paid wide receiver in the league for a guy who ranked 48th in receivers and target share, 18%. In all 4 of his NFL seasons, he's finished no better than 42nd in targets, 45th in catches, 18th in yards, 18th in touchdowns. So not only made him one of the highest paid wide receivers, but then also traded Michael Pittman Jr., who had 200 more catches than Alec Pierce since 2022. So, and I'm sure I can find it and go back and look at my draft stuff, but I was really high on Alec Pierce coming out of Cincinnati. I really liked him. I really like the success that he's had in the league so far. I honestly, the Colts have drafted 2 of my favorite, underdog type wide receivers or mid-round type wide receivers coming into the league. Josh Downs and Alec Pierce. I really like both of those guys. 4 years, $114 million is really steep for that guy. And then again, you add the addition of trading away Michael Pittman. Doesn't make it any better, that's for sure.
When you look at the average per year, 28.5, and you look at some of the other contracts that were signed this offseason, Wan'Dale Robinson, 17.5. Rashid Shaheed for the Seahawks, 17 million. Like you hate the Romeo Doubs signing, but he got 17 million a year. You know,
Yeah.
Mike Evans gets 14 million a year, and you give Alec Pierce 28.5. And I see Colts fans defending it about, oh, he's underrated. Oh, he's this, he's this, he's this. Yeah, he's been all that with Michael Pittman on the team. And now Michael Pittman's not on the team. And you have Daniel Jones, and that's where I'm at on it.
Yeah, I'm 100% there with you. It's bar none the worst of the worst. It is the combination, which might be cheating a little bit, but the re-signing and then the trading away of Michael Pittman just doesn't make a lot of sense for the Colts. So, but besides that, Drew, do you want to add anything else to best or worst or anything in between?
No, I just letting your own player get to free agency and then having to sign into this type of contract when you could have just extended him. It's just decisions that bad franchises do. And we're talking about, I gave the Raiders a lot of praise about some smart decision making this year, this free agency period. And there's been worse free agent signings for certain, absolute certain, but Alex, this one is right up there.
Absolutely. Well, we'll go ahead and cap it off there. We are officially, with that door closing, officially going to start the draft process very soon. Drew, obviously, you and I will talk about that and get into when exactly we want to start doing mock drafts and obviously, positional rankings. And I think we'll probably record a little bit more often just because I want to get out a mock draft damn near every week. Even if we record a positional ranking video, let's put out a mock draft too on top of it. Let's do something else. because we're 4 weeks away pretty much. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how everything's going to kind of shake out. The draft is probably the most exciting thing for us. So before we sign it off, do you have anything else to say to people?
No, I'm just excited to start pumping out this mock drafts. Cowboys taking an Oregon player in round 1, 49ers taking an Oregon player in round 1. You being all pissed off about them drafting a safety at 12. I'm excited. So let's get it going.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and any other recording platforms. Besides that, love you guys.